you can see close off from the bottom between the distal anchor and the stirrups. Okay, you're going to wrap medial to lateral. You're never going to be pulling up on the arch. Okay? Now, and then you can also close off from the top, and you're going to start up here, and you're going to go down to your horseshoes. Okay? So your close-off strips, again, you're going to put a few on the bottom. And essentially what you're doing with your close-off strips is you notice that all of your horseshoes started and stopped right on those original anchors, and you're just closing them off once again. Okay, so again, I've started on the medial side. Well, that's just a grapple mark. Yeah, if you make a mistake, just be done with it. It's a lot easier. All right. So you close off. Let's see, how far back do you close off? Close off from the bottom, between the distal anchor and the stirrups. Wrap medially, never laterally. And if you can, you want to make sure that they're splaying that arch so that you've still got some good movement within the foot itself. Okay? So I'm going to put one more on there just to close it off. And again, what I'm really making sure that I'm doing is that I've got those original, or those horseshoes, done very nicely. Now, if I tried to wrap right now up and over her foot constantly, oh, that's nice, my tape's stuck together, then I'm just going to get a whole bunch of wrinkles over there, and I don't want to do that. So now, I'm going to start at the bottom. So I'm basically going to repeat those first 3 anchors that I did. And what you'll notice as you do these close-off strips, going superior down to inferiorly, is the shape of her leg changing as I go down? Is it getting skinnier as we go towards the ankle? Less circumference. Yeah, you have to account for that. Okay. So again, other thing that you want to make sure that you do is you're coming across that heel and lace pad so you're not starting and stopping on it, and you're constantly looking at your angle. So a lot of things that you're making sure of. You're overlapping by a half, you're constantly changing the angle, you don't start and stop on those heel and lace pads. Okay. So I can start to change the angle just a little bit, because if I don't, I'm going to start to get some wrinkles in there. If she's got a high shoe that she's going to be wearing, it's not going to be very comfortable at all. Now at this point in time, I'm actually going to start to angle in a little bit of a different direction. It's going to start to simulate what I was doing with my horseshoes as I come over. So I want to make sure that I come all the way down, and I'm going to put one more little close-off strip on there. And so what this has done is it's basically a whole lot simulated. As those lower ones come down, I started off on an angle like this, and then the angle started to be like that, and then it started to mimic more my horseshoes going like that. Does that make sense? Okay. So at this point in time, I've got a few little wrinkles on the bottom. My apologies for that. I can't make it perfect every time. Now is when we go back to the heel locks and the figure eights that we did the other day. Y'all remember doing those with your cloth wraps? So now I've got to do that with all this tape, and you've seen what I've had to fiddle with in terms of wrinkles. So you can imagine, oh, this might be a little bit tricky. So applying your figure eight and lateral heel lock. So I'm going to do one. You can always put more than one if your athlete wants to have some additional support on there. So with the heel lock, always remembering, you always pull down on the arch. You're never going to end up pulling up on the arch. So I'm going to start right about here, okay, and I'm going to come down. There's the first part of my figure eight, all one piece, and I can tell you this becomes tricky in terms of getting it without wrinkles. So I just finished my figure eight. So I'd started here, came down and around, and then I went behind the ankle. I did my figure eight. Now, when you do your heel locks, a lot of you had problems with this the other day. Remember, with your heel locks, you're always pulling up. You don't ever pull down, and you always follow the alphabet. You're going to do a lateral heel lock, then a medial, L, then M. So you do your figure eight, okay, and then you come down the arch, pull up on that lateral heel lock, and this is when it gets tricky with angles with tiny feet. Then I come around over here, and now you can see I'm in a position to do my medial heel lock. How you doing? It's tight?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, oh, this is where I always lose it on a small foot. Look at all those wrinkles. Shit. Is that on the video?
Yeah.
Well, at least I just said that word. So a few of you will do this today. I haven't practiced in a while. I've been too busy with curling. All right. Good for you to see again. Now, pull up or down on the arch? Down. Down. First part of the figure 8, just done. All right. Second part of the figure 8 is done. And this is where you always, I kind of pull up a little bit. I don't really want to take it all the way back off. But what I'm doing is I'm giving some constant tension with it. And I'm also being very, very aware of my angles. And so when you have a smaller foot, you got to be super aware of those angles. So there's my lateral heel lock. And I'm coming around right now. And I'm going to make sure that I've angled it properly so that I've got myself a nice medial heel lock. And then typically what you're going to do on a larger foot, it's a whole lot easier to have that land right here. Okay? On a tiny foot, it can't. And I would rather give that support over here to the foot than trying to put a big wrinkly piece back on there. Okay? So the movement again, what it looks like, you always start on the top, you're going to pull down on medial. First part of your heel, and there's the second part of your figure 8. Come down, lateral heel lock, up and around, medial heel lock, and then you're done. All right, so let's see if she can plantar flex, dorsiflex. We got some plantar flex and dorsiflex. Now remember with taping, is it initially supposed to be tight?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the point. If we were to get her moving, walking, it's going to loosen up a bit. Now, let's see if we can get any inversion and eversion. No. That's what I'm trying to prevent with this tape technique, is I don't want any inversion. She had an inversion ankle sprain. I pulled up those stirrups on that side. So when you look back at there's basically 4 parts to it. Okay, anchors, 3 and 2. Then there's the basket weave. Stirrup, horseshoe, stirrup, horseshoe, stirrup, horseshoe. Stirrups go posterior to anterior. Horseshoes go inferior to superior. Then you've got your close off. You close off, basically you're closing off those horseshoe strips, and then you close off down the stirrups and you get everything tidy. To give that support to inversion, eversion, figure 8, lateral heel lock, medial heel lock.
After your sit-ups and horseshoes, did you do 3 wraps at the bottom and 3 at the top?
After, it's going to depend on the size of the foot. Yeah, somebody that's got a longer foot. Yeah. 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 Yeah, absolutely. Now, how do you get this off?